Aliens. Oh, we've never talked about this, have we? But never fails because we have to talk about it because the news insists on shoving aliens down our throat, just like shoving all the other rainbows down our throat. You will be probed by the aliens, whether you like it or not. You will accept the fake and graliens, whether you like them or not. You will. So I went back and dug out all of my alien crap. Not literal alien feces, literal alien books, all the old dumb old books. Them old dumb old conspiracy books. Rockfin. Shout out to my Rockfin Rasha. I thought, why don't we just walk through all the alien books and I'll rehearse all the stuff, all the facts, because everybody's falling for this dumb old psyop. And they never stop falling for this stupid psyop. It's the dumbest thing ever. And I'm going to be nice. I'm going to try to be nice. Because everybody has a phase. Like when you're a teenager and you're going through a phase. Your body starts changing. Hair starts growing on your lips. You start sweating in the middle of class when you see hot for teacher. Whatever. You got strange smells coming from your armpit because you're hitting puberty, they call it. Changing phases. And then you get into Bob Marley. And then you get into the Beatles. And then you get into the Rage Against the Machine. And you have phases. Well, in this conspiracy world, in the research world, in the awakening world, people have phases. And because everybody is lied to, when you get into this stuff, you think, oh, everything is a lie, bro. I've been lied to about everything, dude. Everything is a lie. And then you're open to believing anything. Well, hold your horses there, partner. Whoa, now. Hold up. A lot of this stuff is dumb. A lot of this stuff is not true. And if you're new to the whole awakening world, as millions of people wake up every day. No, they're waking up to the real world, to how the world really works. The red pill, etc. And by red pill, I mean what I've always thought it meant, which is conspiracy stuff. That's what I've always heard the red pill to be. And yes, I know that it goes back to Total Recall, where the blue pill was the good pill. I know all that. And I know that the Matrix is talking about drug. I know all that. I'm just talking about what red pill meant in 2008 when Google Video had conspiracy videos and it played that Matrix song and you watched Loose Change and you saw Jason Burmis and on and on and on. That's what red pill is to me. That's all I've ever thought of it as. And then I know there was a documentary, the Mike Cernovich documentary about men's rights. And then red pill took on that. And now red pill means Tate, Pearl, and these people. But from my block, and I'm still Jenny from the block, don't be fooled by the rocks that I've got. I'm still Jenny from the block. On my block, red pill means conspiracy material. Don't be fooled by the rocks that I got. I'm still Jamie from the block. She's incapacitated. Either that or my jokes just suck. Is it both? Now she's laughing. I mean, we're going to go into the collective unconscious right here, right? We're going to go into some Carl Gajong. Because did you know he talked about UFOs? We're even going to watch UFO clips. Ooh, ooh. And we're going to talk about the history of this stupid thing. Because I've read all this alien stuff. Not all of it, but I've read a lot of the books. I've read the H.G. Wells's. I've read, our Arthur C. Clarke's Childhood's End. War of the Worlds. All of that. Where's my War of the Worlds? I got that out. Here it is. We're going to talk about how it's a psyop. We're going to talk about Jacques Vallée. Do you know my books? I wrote 80 or 100 pages on alien stuff in my first book. So I know a good bit about, I know about alien cults. About 80 or 100 pages of the first book deal with alien cults. I think I even included a whole section in the second book on aliens. So I know this topic pretty well. And my thesis of this is that, can I set drinks on the table now that we have this fancy setup over here? I think I can. Are people still gonna cry and scream and lodge complaints to the now fired we had to lay them off. The complaints department is laid off in there. The beautiful indigenous people that worked in the complaints department had to be laid off because we got this fancy machine. See, machines are replacing humans. Look at that. This here contraption makes my voice not pop. It ain't popping off. Pop, pop. Pop, pop. There we go. Jamie's still alive in there. Barely. Barely making it. I'm just kidding. Before people freak out. All right. So, first of all, why does everybody believe alien stuff? We were talking about this a minute ago, me and Jamie were, and I feel like it's just the most easily graspable, perhaps, mythos that's been promoted in the media and in the movies and in science fiction for the last 100 years or plus that fits with the Darwinian narrative. So my first thesis is that people are believing all this stuff because they think that it melds well with today's prevailing so-called science theories of Darwinian evolution. And they think then, as people like the new atheists, interesting, wait a minute, the new atheists? Well, they don't have a problem with aliens. Why is that? Again, because it melds with I'm trying to find that. Here we go. He sees it as a something sexual. Could you believe that? Here, let's see. Richard Dawkins, aliens are and a very nubile female. What? He's into speculations. Okay, but it's only speculations. Is his second life avatar? That ain't what I want. Richard Dawkins has an avatar in Second Life called Very Nubile Female. Okay, sure. Anyway, he's said this many, many times that he doesn't have a problem with aliens. I was trying to find a clip.
Well, then who did create the heavens and the earth?
Why do you use the word who? You see, you immediately beg the question by using the word who.
Well, then how did it get created?
Well, by a very slow process.
Well, how did it start?
Nobody knows how it started. We know the kind of event that it must have been. We know the sort of event that must have happened for the origin of life.
What was that?
It was the origin of the first self-replicating molecule.
Right, how did that happen?
I've told you we don't know.
So you have no idea how it started?
No, nor has anyone.
Nor has anyone else. What do you think is the possibility that intelligent design might turn
Intelligent design.
the answer to some issues in genetics or in evolution?
It could come about in the following way. It could be that at some earlier time, somewhere in the universe, a civilization evolved.
There we go, right? A civilization evolved. I had the volume low because you guys don't understand what happened. Like if this copyright dings it, it's not going to get any algorithmic promotion. That's why. So that's why the volume was low on that. And the problem isn't even the clips. YouTube is a freak about audio copyright. That's why. And every damn soundtrack, every piece of garbage, royalty-free thing, the algorithm picks it up. Okay, that's why it's low. I have invested my soul into this new contraption equipment to make you people happy, and I hope you appreciate it. So, Dickie Dawkins, aliens are plausible, of course. And even ancient alien civilizations, he's telling Ben Stein over here, our principal from Ferris Bueller.
Well, of course, there could have been alien civilizations. Have you ever watched Ancient Aliens on the History Channel?
Right? That's logical, that's rational, that's scientific, even though it's complete science fiction. And I know that, well, he's just positing a theory. But wait a minute. How come creation or creationism is not a good theory? Aliens are a good theory, but not creation. Now, usually when you bring that up, they say, well, but you notice the notion of a creator doesn't make any sense because the world is not perfect. It's not designed perfectly. It has all of these mutations. It has problems. It has flaws. That's why it's a fallen world. That's why it exhibits both design because of a creator and elements of chaos, entropy, mutations, and so forth. So it's both things going on, you see. And then the fact that there are problems in the system of the universe as a whole does not therefore mean that it was not designed, and it's all that design is purely an anthropic relative interpretation. It just doesn't follow. And Dawkins, again, is another one of these champions of this freaking allergies, dude. The Canucks are up there burning millions of dubs, and we can't breathe down here. The air quality in Tennessee is bad because of the Canucks up there burning all their doobies. And the giant smoke cloud is wafted down here to Tennessee. We can't breathe today. Anyway. Anyway. You can see then the alien narrative fits perfectly with the evolutionist materialist narrative, but not the notion of a single divine creator. And of course, our thesis is and has been for a long time that that's because there isn't a long-term agenda to push the alien mythos and narrative by design as a replacement mythos for Western civilization, because they would like to get rid of the ideas that don't fit with the global technocratic plan. The notion of individuals being made in the image of God, which then gives them dignity, which gives the right to life, pro-life, etc. All of that is based around the idea of being made in the image of God, and that there's a moral law, a moral fabric of the universe stamped on our very being. The law in our hearts that Paul talks about and so forth. If the world is just a random process and there is no deity and Earth is, basically useless in this vast, it has no point. It's not the center of the universe in this vast sea of floating space lint, then there is no dignity to man at all. Everything is just a meaningless, it's just bugs, man. Bugs. The universe is like a bunch of bugs, man. And we're just kind of floating around, man. And there's no meaning in anything. And then you ask that person, do your sentences have meaning when you make that argument? Oh, dude, you're just like talking in circles, man. Word salad, dude. Okay. So when we go to the academic literature, as I pointed out, we find amazing facts, such as the academic Brenda Densler in her book, The Lure of the Edge, Scientific Passions, Religious Beliefs, and the Pursuit of UFOs. Dr. Densler has written all about the history of the UFO alien cult movement. And she does very well. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. She covers it from all angles. I mean, it's not a conspiracy text. You understand? This is an academic text on the history of the alien mythos. And in a section covering UFOs and theology, I stumbled upon an amazing discovery, which is that she found a 1960s Brookings Institute report for NASA. So NASA asked Brookings Institute to do a report on what the effects would be on Western civilization if the aliens were discovered. This is so key, okay? Understand what I'm saying. This is really important. And this is in this, she's talking about the chapter on Arthur C. Clarke, UFOs, and God. And remember, Arthur C. Clarke is not just some creeper space nerd. He's also hanging out with Crowley and into ritual magic. And so when he writes Childhood's End is about giant demons from space that steal your kids and nuke the planet. Literally. Carellin is a giant demon. He's even pictured like the demon in Arthur C. Clarke's other book, The Sentinel, which is part of the 2001 mythos. Listen to this. Fundamentalist Christians had a tendency to automatically attribute all of this to demonic activity. In 1960, the Brookings Institute study was commissioned by NASA, and in their report, they stated that the effect of the discovery of ET would destroy fundamentalist religious traditions. It would be electrifying. It would have potentially far-reaching consequences in societies where fundamentalists had a powerful special force. Where do the fundamentalists have powerful special force? I don't know, but I guess this is written in the 60s, so people still had fundamental. Now remember, fundamentalism just means people that actually believe in the virgin birth and the Trinity and the resurrection. It's not, they're not talking about like backwoods snake handling fundamentalists. By the way, guys, if you would support the show via the super chat functions, super chats are through Streamlabs. You can use the Streamlabs link to send a super chat at any time, and I will answer your questions. This is a topic that I know very well. I wouldn't say I'm like the world's greatest expert, but I've got a giant stack of alien books, pro and con, over here, and we're going to get into this. And I am the guy. I'm the go-to guy. I'm the go-to guy for aliens as a psyop. This would be an interesting thing to debate too. I want to offer a challenge there. If anyone would like to debate, I'm always down to debate, you know, the theology and all that. I know, yeah. But it would be nice to debate something else. I want to debate somebody on the papacy and geopolitics. I can't find any Roman Catholics that will do it. And I'd like to debate somebody on this kind of thing, right? Like somebody that actually believes in aliens. I'd love to have a debate on that. The book goes on to say, if alien life were announced or discovered, right? So notice, it could just be announced by the authority figures. People are going to believe it, right? Doesn't actually have to be the case, just announce it. It would have far-reaching consequences. Arthur C. Clarke, for example, felt that the doctrine of the incarnation of Christ would be destroyed by the announcement of alien life. Particularly Christianity. It's interesting that they always have such a hell-bent hatred for Christianity. They're not worried about the other ones, right? As one psychologist in the UFO community observed, perhaps in some way, the long battle against the UFO cover-up was not really the public's right to know, but it was the public's right not to know. Not only would the idea of the incarnation be under review, one investigator pointed out the whole of Christian theology and the idea of God's plan of salvation would be severely problematized. The report writes, quote, "The Christian religion would be compromised by the discovery of ET life, since it makes much of the incarnation as a historical event and of the knowledge of Jesus Christ and the news of his passion, ascension, and atonement as the sine qua non of salvation. If either have to maintain that the incarnation, it would either have to maintain that the incarnation and crucifixion occurred on innumerable worlds to save the entities on those planets, or the latter was a vain effort and the distant galaxies are receding from us, and thus they could never be contacted, and thus the aliens would be damned, and this is irreconcilable with divine providence." So they're thinking up moral challenges to theodicy, right? She also has a great section too where the connection between aliens and is tied to transhumanism and alien technological mythologies. In other words, the story or the narrative, which is going to be important for today, that we have found an alien crashed craft and we have reverse engineered the craft. And that through that reverse engineering tech, we are going to create transhumanist, human, cyborg, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, right? So there's a lot of good stuff in this text. It's really good. And she talks about even how the alien cults appropriate a lot of this material. So from the academic perspective then, and from the think tank perspective, you understand that this shows there've already been think tanks since the 60s working on the effects of the discovery, so-called, of alien life. And they actually believe that it would destroy the Christian narrative. And one of the top proponents of scientism, Creeper himself, Arthur Clarke, was intimately involved in that, saying that this can destroy the Christian religion. We'll finally be right. Why do the nations rage and the kings plot a vain thing? Psalm 2. Well, there you have it with Arthur C. Clarke. And as we saw with Dawkins, it's really anything but Christianity, right? Please give me anything but that. Why is it? Why do they have such a problem? I mean, if all the religions are useless and silly and made up, they're all myths, that why is it that this one is such a problem? Now, in terms of Carl Jung Boomer, let's go to one of the classic Jungian texts here, Man and His Symbols. And I thought we'd read a little bit about the aliens in the Jungian view, because they also like to tie this stuff into Carl Jung and archetypes and all that. And so this chapter is written by one of Jung's students. I forget the name of this guy. Jaffe, Aniela Jaffe. Sacred symbols, right? And this goes back to the ancient gods and how the gods utilized the mandala and all this kind of stuff. And that this was angelic language and it's supposed to speak to the higher realms. And then this gets really weird because it starts talking about UFOs. The circle is a symbol of the psyche. I think it's going to get into why alien or UFOs, supposedly are Foo Fighters, flying saucers, or whatever. The square is a rectangle, or a rectangle is a symbol of Earth. So you have the circle of the heavens or the psyche, and then Earth is usually a square. Sometimes it's also a circle. In modern art, the connection between the two primary forms is not existent. Their separation of these two notions is a symbolic expression of the psychic state of 20th century man. His soul has lost the roots, and he is threatened by dissociation. Which is interesting because I would say I'm not a Jungian, but that's kind of true, right? Modern man, because of his wickedness, I guess you could say, is dissociating himself from himself, and obviously from God. But even in the world situation today, as Dr. Carl Jung pointed out, the split in man's modern psyche from the ancient is becoming evident. Western and Eastern halves of the earth are separated by an iron curtain, for example. This is written in Cold War. And then there's a piece of art from the 16th century, and it says, below, for example, is a strange circular object, I'll show you here in a second, in the sky, and it mirrors the flying saucers seen by many people in recent years. Dr. Jung has suggested that such visions are projections of the archetype of wholeness. So the human mind is somehow projecting these into visible manifestation from the subconscious. This is the Jungian view. I think that's ridiculous, obviously, but I did want to take a look and see what the Jungian perspective is. So here's some ancient 16th century drawing or woodcut or something, and because there's these objects in the sky, they must be some kind of UFO or alien craft. I mean, who knows what it is, but why would we leap to the conclusion that because it looks like tiddlywinks up in the sky that is therefore aliens? You know, you can play a bunch of tiddlywinks up in the sky, and I don't mean it's got to be aliens. Ha ha. Ha ha. You know, my son, he was going off to tiddlywink camp, and he says, "Papai, I just want to play tiddlywinks and meet some cool aliens." Anyway, it goes on to say, in certain abstract pictures of our time, these primal forms occasionally appear as if they were germs of a new growth. The symbol of the circle has played a curious part in various phenomena of life in our day, and occasionally we get in the last few years of the Second World War, for example, there arose the rumor of flying saucers, UFOs, or unidentified objects. Dr. Young explained that these UFOs are a projection of the human psyche, and that at times it has been symbolized by the circle. In other words, this visionary rumor of UFOs can also be seen in many dreams, and there's a connection between the unconscious collective psyche to heal the split in our apocalyptic age by means of the symbol of the circle. Now, that's a bunch of Jungian jibber-jabber, but I wanted to point that out because so many people think that Carl Jung is so insightful on this topic or many of these topics. And I mean, there are some insights in Carl Jung, but you're not manifesting aliens from your mind, dude. It's just not happening. It may be the case that, you know, the collection of symbols that you grew up with in your culture, I'm sure that that's how you dream and that's how you see things. Yes, so that part's true, but that doesn't mean that it comes from your psyche or that you manifest it in your mind, right? These things either exist in some mode or form or in some spiritual world, or they do not, or there are different things going on. And I think that's what is the secret here to this whole phenomena, is that this is multiple things going on. It's not one phenomena. There are a lot of different things going on, some of which are unidentified, sure. But why would we leap to the conclusion that because it's unidentified, that therefore it's alien life from some distant planet? Why? There's actually no reason to think that. In fact, the whole alien mythos is actually bound up with the absurd Big Bang narrative and the idea that the planets just magically formed like spinning lint balls, literally. So the way that your belly button, the way that it creates lint, is literally the theory about how the planets formed. I'm not kidding. The Big Bang happened, and then dust just started spinning. This is the predominant narrative. And it collects more dust, and it turns into a lint ball, and then it congeals into a planet and keeps spinning. It's just total nonsense, right? Never mind fine-tuning, never mind any of that stuff. It just starts spinning, man, and it just collects a bunch of freaking dust. Space pubes, space hair, space dander, collapsing in on itself to create giant balls of spinning magma, right? Sure, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Totally scientific. And then over zillions of years, you get the emergence of random species after they arise from the muck, right? You get pond scum farting, literally. Rocks and pond scum smashed together, there's a fart, and humans are, the first cell organism arises. Perhaps there was lightning somehow. Lightning enters the equation to hit the bog of the farting bog, and that creates man together when it hits a rock. I'm joking, it doesn't create a man, but it creates the first living cell, and then that mutates into just ridiculous, super dumb narratives that people believe because their professor told them that. And surely he knows what he's talking about because, I mean, look at him. And look at the letters after his name. That dude knows what's up. He doesn't know what a fallacy is, but he knows where life came from. And he knows the planets were created by balls of lint spinning in space for 1 million years. Not just one ball of lint that happened to spin. Many of them. All of the planets happen to spin and collect dust and congeal. So, thus, all of that alien baloney is part and parcel with this other narrative, you see. It fits with that. It's like an optional downloadable extra story. It's extra downloadable content and story that you can play in your alien mythos LARP narrative. Right? Now, when we go back to the history of this jibber jabber nonsense, what do we find? Do we find a consistent, coherent narrative of the rise of aliens and the rise of the mythos? No, we don't. In fact, the story of alien civilizations, yes, you could argue that it goes back to ancient mythology and it goes back to tribal religions, and we can talk about the Cheetah Uri, mate, and the Dogon. We could talk about the Dogon tribe and Credo Mutwa. We could talk about the Dog Star Therios. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Having fun. I don't know what's up with the super chats. Somebody sent a super chat and then it didn't pop up. So fear not, I will still read your super chat even if it's not popping up for some reason. Pop. You can support the show via the super chat function. Super chats are through Streamlabs right there. But part of the reason we're doing this show is because once again, another bunch of blurry crap from the Pentagon. The Pentagon, the Air Force, the Pentagon. The officials, Pentagon officials, have released another ridiculous blurry thing of nothing, much like all of the other blurry things of nothing. And we must listen because it is the Pentagon. Let's see what we got going here. Everybody likes the reactions now to the
I couldn't believe this story when it broke late today. Truly out of this world. It's hard to think of anything that, frankly, is more significant than this tonight. According to what is now an explosive expose in the publication The Debrief, a former Intel official turned whistleblower has given Congress and the Intel community, Inspector General, extensive classified information about deeply covert programs that he says possess retrieved and intact and partially intact craft of non-human origin. Now, this whistleblower is not some kook. His name is David Charles Grush, and he's a decorated former combat officer in Afghanistan.
All right, so first of all, why is he not a kook? Oh, because he's a decorated veteran from really? So you mean sheep-dipped people that make up baloney because they work for the intelligence community? Come on. In other words, these are people who are trained to lie. That's their job. So this idea that because somebody comes from the military, they're therefore truthful is preposterous, first of all.
As well as a veteran of the National Geospatial
Intel. Well, if he's a veteran, I guess
I guess. Office. Now, it was in that office where he served as the representative to the...
Now, yeah, so naval reconnaissance, right? This is one of a lot of these alien jibber jabber stories come from the Navy. Okay, but do you understand that the military engages in what's called deception? They engage in what's called lying. That's a huge part of what they do. So it's just odd. It's amazing to me that people, the weird part is about the alien story itself over the last 50, 60 years has been that the government's lying about aliens. Now we're supposed to believe, oh, the government is not lying because there's aliens. So the people that you were saying were lying for the last 70, 60 years, now you believe them that they're telling the truth. Because they're telling you what you want. This is so dumb. Utterly dumb, dude. Next level dumb.
The Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. Here he is in his own words.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will. It's probably not the right parlance, but...
Yeah, so first of all, there's nothing new in this narrative. Roswell. Frickin' Roswell had a damn military dude in it. Are people this dumb? Yes, they are. The answer is yes, right? Because the original clipping has, oh, well, look, dude, it's military. The military. Well, yeah, they wouldn't lie, would they? I forgot that. What's the name of the guy? I don't even remember. This stuff is so dumb. Okay, there's RAF. That's not it, though. The Roswell incident and the Kardashians. What? Look at this. The Roswell Daily Record. General Ramey empties the Roswell saucer. 1947. This dude is saying the same baloney from that they were saying in 1947. And people are like, this is credible. It's the military. He's saying that there was a crashed craft and that they were reverse engineering the technology.
No kidding. Non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
Are they electric vehicles? No.
Oh, they crashed. So it's 10 cans from a million miles away that have the ability to, transcend time and space. They run on light beams. But when they got to Earth, when they was about to put a bunch of things in cows' butts, they crashed because they ran out of gas or something, right? This is so dumb. Like, they got a million light years down the road and they came here and their craft crashed. By the way, he's not the only goofus. Remember bro, they were rolling out the Blink 182 dude to tell you that there's alien craft and that he's seen them. Tom, what's his face? Who, I can't believe people believe this. This is so dumb.
But like other whistleblowers we've heard from of late, the government bureaucracy will undoubtedly try to discredit Mr. Grush's account. But anticipating the fallout, he's warning that such ongoing government denial of this 80-year arms...
They're going to discredit him? He's rolling out the stupid disinfo that the government has been pushing for the last 70 years. The CIA is all up in this dumb alien nonsense. They were consulting on the alien movies in the 50s.
Race, what he calls it, would be extremely dangerous for mankind, inhibiting our ability to be prepared for an unexpected non-human intelligence contact scenario. Joining us now is Ryan Graves.
So the unexpected childhood's end Carellin nonsense, written by Crowley and Arthur C. Clarke, where the aliens announce that they're here. They're here to save us, right? All we got to do is give up our kids, create a world government, worship them, worship some pseudo-antichrist figure, and depopulate, and then they'll give us the technology to heal. I mean, has nobody seen V? Has nobody seen I mean, they remade V. They've made this story so many times. Remember when we covered Day the Earth Stood Still? Klaatu, right? Klaatu, Varata, Niktu. And they're going to destroy Earth unless we create a world government. How can you not see that this is social engineering propaganda? We're going to destroy the world unless you create a world government. Have you never watched this movie? It's crazy. I mean, it's the most obvious propaganda, right? Let's see if we can watch this. I don't want it to ding the dang, the ding dang ding dong. Ding the dang ding dong copyright ding dong.
A large object traveling at supersonic speed is headed over the North Atlantic toward the east coast of the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Drew Pearson. We bring you this special radio television broadcast in order to give you the very latest information on an amazing phenomenon, the arrival of a spaceship in Washington. The Army has taken every precaution to meet any emergency which may develop. Just a minute, ladies and gentlemen, I think something is happening.
Yeah, so I have to keep turning down the volume because it dings the copyright. So there you have it. The plot, one of the most famous science fiction novels, or movies, is The Day the Earth Stood Still. We get this Jesus type figure who shows up, who comes to warn us. He's a carpenter man from space, and he warns us that Klaatu is coming to destroy the planet unless we create a world government. And in fact, the day the Earth stood still, we even know who was involved in that. There was a Dr. James Lipp and a C.D. Jackson. You might have heard of him because he was involved in the CIA's doctrinal warfare program. Why is C.D. Jackson consulting on the day the Earth stood still? He's part of the production team. In fact, Zanuck from the famous movie studio, Daryl Zanuck, he worked with the Office of Wartime Intelligence as well as 20th Century Fox to consult on a lot of these alien stories from the 1950s. And this leads to a barrage, just an explosion after the 1950s of these ridiculous alien movies. If you've ever looked at these B movies in the 1950s, and of course War of the Worlds was a hit, so there had already been H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, I think in the 30s, right? But in the 40s, this ramps up after Roswell and after the rumors of these saucers. And we get this explosion of movies. Now, why are we getting an explosion of movies suddenly at this time? And note again that you've got figures from the intelligence apparatus consulting with people in the movie industry. Now, who wrote the most famous alien book of all time? And a global socialist propagandist, H.G. Wells. So, the world's most famous alien story, War of the Worlds. Again, another story of, well, humans have to come together or else we probably won't be able to beat the outside threat, right? Well, he just happened to be a hardcore Marxist socialist technocrat world government promoter, H.G. Wells, the world's first Fabian socialist propagandist of the highest order. Before Edward Bernays, there was H.G. Wells. What else did H.G. Wells push throughout all of his science fiction predictive programming? That we needed to become a Soviet-style government in the West. That all areas of life should be run by a technocratic world socialist government. That the United States needs to come to an end and that it needs to integrate into a world order. That's in his 1935 book, The NWO. That feminism is the key to remodeling the world governments. In fact, it should be based on the feminism in Plato's Republic. The technocratic superstate should and must manage all breeding. All breeding must be controlled by the central state, the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and this would be what he called a scientific dictatorship based on the models of the Royal Society. So, can you not see that it's 100% a created narrative that is being rolled out, and it was written by super famous propagandists who worked with the Tavistock Institute, like H.G. Wells, who worked with all these other propagandists to craft and control public opinion, like Walter Lippmann and Edward Bernays, who also worked with the Tavistock Institute. That is entirely what the alien narrative is about. This alien narrative has nothing to do with actual entities from other planets. It has nothing to do with anything other than fitting it into the technocratic globalist narrative. And that's why everybody involved in this story always comes back to being some adjunct of the establishment. Somebody from the CIA, the OSS, naval reconnaissance, military intelligence, and or propaganda science fiction writers. Why are there so many science fiction writers involved in this stupid narrative? If this is a real scientific discovery, it's not. It has absolutely nothing to do with science. In fact, the best documentary on this topic is called Mirage Men. And in Mirage Men, they interview multiple disinformation experts from the military. They interview Air Force disinfo creators, people that create and disseminate the disinfo. So let's get a little bit of this. If you've never seen this, it's a must-see. You really need to see this documentary.
At the core, there is something that they want to keep people away from, a real truth.
Back in the early 80s, it was my job to confuse the UFO community. And it was very easy to convince Paul. Paul was a World War II veteran. He's very patriotic. He always flew his flag. Those type of people you can convince that, listen, you can't.
Now, did you hear that? That's Doty from Air Force Intelligence explaining one of the dupes that they chose to disseminate the alien narrative. And he talks about how easy it was to fool this guy because he was a patriot. Now, what did you just hear in everything that you just heard in Laura Ingram's interview there?
I was stopped today in everything I was doing when this came out late today. But do you agree this is, at this point, about safety and our own national security at this point?
Oh, absolutely. It's never stopped being about our national security. What David has been able to do and the courage that he's been able to demonstrate coming forward, I think, are exactly what Congress was hoping for when they've enacted laws in the last National Defense Authorization Act in order to enable just this.
Now, what you saw when you were on the F-18, when you were highlighting the F-18, describe for us specifically.
Oh, so now the NDAA is good because it enabled us to enact laws for planetary American defense against the aliens. I mean, you can't, this is so stupid.
Flying out off the coast of Virginia Beach on a daily basis, and we started noticing on our radar, on our camera systems, and eventually our eyeballs, what appeared to be dark gray or black cubes inside of clear translucent spheres. These objects were typically anywhere between 250 and 350 knots and performing meandering maneuvers or even straight maneuvers upwards of supersonic. This actually lines up quite well with what Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office has recently communicated as being the most prevalent type of object that he's been seeing through his research. Spherical objects that travel anywhere from 0 to 2 Mach.
Now, Ryan, the government has slowly had to reveal that these are indeed unidentified objects that they cannot.
So remember, what kind of quality camera do you think the government has? Do you think that they're still using Verizon 240p flip phones on their planes? And I mean, there's no possible super HD quality image because the government has Verizon flip phones taped to the top of their fighter jets when they chase the UFOs. I mean, seriously, this is so ridiculous. That if they really wanted to convince us of something like this, why wouldn't we have really clear analyzable footage, right? If they really wanted to convince us that this guy actually saw translucent spheres with black cubes inside of them flying at Mach speeds, I mean, come on, right? That's ridiculous, because what we're looking at is this gray image of nonsense, of just
they can't
blur.
say what they are, but they're not regular. But their justification, essentially, for not being forthright about this initially was national security, correct?
Certainly. Not from the angle of we're going to hide what's on our camera systems, but the fact that our cameras could perhaps see certain things or our radars could detect certain objects at certain ranges. That's typically the reason that's been explained why these videos and these images have been classified to the level they have been. I think
Ryan,
it remains to be seen.
But again, just the fact that he's now saying the NDAA is good because it protects us from the alien threat. This is so silly, right? As if the military couldn't shoot down whatever they wanted to when it flew over U.S. airspace prior to the NDAA, right? We don't need Big Brother to save us from aliens. Come on. And who actually believes that? I guess a lot of people are completely stupid. I mean, just total mind bomb people just will believe anything. By the way, thank you for the super chats. If you want to support the show, you can do so via the super chat function. We got a nice 600 tonight. That's good. Thank you for that. Yeah, you super chats are via Streamlabs. So here is the Streamlabs link right there. If you remember when Obama got the NDAA passed, what was it actually about, right? Well, that was part and parcel with this idea that you could now propagandize the American public. It's legal for the government to do psyops on the public. Remember that? Oh, maybe that has something to do with what's going on here. Because you can legally be lied to, even though they already lied to, obviously, duh. All the government does is lie anyway. So, of course, they're going to lie about what the meaning and purpose of these crafts is. And again, the same people who've been bitching for the last 70 years that the government is lying about aliens is now going to hook, line, and sinker believe the government telling them, oh, yeah, by the way, there's crash crafts and aliens. Oh, yes, government's telling the truth. Oh, we knew it. You have to be super dumb to believe. How dumb? How dumb? How dumb? You tell me. You tell me. I mean, seriously. And where I know Laura Ingraham is an intelligent person. And does she know nothing about this topic? I mean, how could she not ask a few questions? Now, let's go back to the trailer for Mirage Men, the great documentary that literally lays out this whole thing. Perfect explanation of all the alien jibber jabber nonsense in one documentary. And let's listen to what Richard Doty says again about how they pick goobers who are patriotic and believe whatever they're told to disseminate the disinfo, dummies.
Away from a real truth.
Back in the early 80s, it was my job to confuse the UFO community. And it was very easy to convince Paul. Paul was a World War II veteran. He's very patriotic. He always flew his flag. Those type of people you can convince that, listen, you can't tell anybody else about this because this, it could get in the wrong hands.
Would we use perception to help shroud what we're trying to protect? Absolutely. If you've got an aerial platform that is highly advanced and the public who happens to get a glimpse of the thing, if they're convinced that it's from Venus, then there's no way it could be our military. Well, hey, that's awesome. Hell.
So, yes, the idea that advanced military tech comes from aliens and, George Tsoukalos nonsense. Well, that's very useful for cloaking what the military is really up to. Yeah, exactly. I mean, duh, right? Now, I'm sure many people think, well, we all know of the theory that it's government craft. No. That's not what he said. He said that, but he said government craft that is cloaked with an alien narrative as the disinfo. Exactly. And not just the government, but also private space companies and tech companies and aerospace companies that have their own advanced technology that they don't want other people knowing about, other corporations, other nations, etc. Of course. This should be obvious. But that's not all the alien narrative is there to do. That's just one angle of this, which is being explained in this documentary for cover.
UFOs to cover up advanced technology, when the truth is exactly the opposite of the words.
We're really a byproduct of extraterrestrial intervention.
What if we're their farm animals? What if they eat us psychically? I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities here that are not good.
Yeah, so all these alien goobers with all of their alternative theories that we were seeded by the aliens and they're feeding on us and we're their biology project for science class and they're gonna try to mate with us and they're gonna put things in our butt and do butt stuff to us because they're faking gray. Ugh. Yeah, sure. What's more likely is that it's a cover for black ops, super secret tech, and perhaps even mind control. What? Why, yes. In fact, there are even court cases where it turns out a certain man, Jan Broberg. Jan Broberg. Do you know the story of Jan Broberg? Shout out to Tristana, beautiful Tristana. The alien abuser who used a conspiracy to control me. Wait a minute. Maybe there's something in this story that could enlighten the whole of the alien nonsense. This is always off when I do the articles. Let's see if I can do this. Yes, there we go. BBC. Jan Broberg's nightmare began when she woke up with her arms and legs tied to the bed and a taped recorded voice was speaking to her when she was 12. I was taken by UFOs. No, it was just this weirdo named Robert Berchtold who kidnapped her and drugged her and used all kinds of techniques. Made her think that she was an alien abductee. Now, wait a minute. If dumb creeps can figure out how to do this, do you think the government's ever thought of doing something like this? Maybe. In fact, if you read one of the best books on this topic, which is Invoking the Beyond by the Collins brothers. Now, this is a gigantic book, right? I mean, I'm talking like 1,000 pages plus. But there's a book within this book, which is about 300 pages. Like this, about this middle 300 pages here is its own book on the history of the alien mythos and narrative as a mind control intelligence operation. I mean, it's many, many things. And their book is about the invoking of the beyond, by which they mean everything post-Kantian as a new sort of narrative, a new control mechanism. The Kantian rift, mythologized menaces, and the quest for the new man. So it gets into transhumanist stuff at the end. But the book, in the middle of the book, about aliens is great. I highly recommend it. It's one of the best things that you'll read, really debunking and destroying this alien nonsense, right? And they start their chapter by talking about how the alien mythology is really a new kind of faith. And they quote Dean Koontz, of all people, for noting the religious elements of mankind's grasping for space beings. And the Collins brothers note the space opera narrative of Mormonism. Do you know Mormonism has a lot of these parallels with kind of alien religion? As do many of the groups that you might have heard of, like Scientology and the Raelians. Space opera, space religions. They blend really well with the notion of what's often referred to in the literature as an alien caste system, and the utilization of the Genesis 6 narrative of the Nephilim as part of the alien mythos tied into panspermia. Yes, our alien engineers planted us here as an experiment. And if you've watched the movie Prometheus, of course, that's what the story Prometheus ends up being about. I've done multiple analyses of Prometheus. I'm not going to go through all of that again. You know what Prometheus is about. But isn't it interesting that the narratives all match very well with something like transhumanism and global government and weird SEX stuff? In fact, the New Atheists, as they point out, also are now talking about it. The Vatican has said that they will baptize aliens when alien life is announced. Interesting. Just preparing us for all of this stuff. And the RAND Corporation has issued documents on this. Now, one of these intelligence operatives was Dr. James Lipp. Dr. James Lipp wrote about this as Project Sign. Lipp's letter takes skeptic positions on the UFO topic, reaching the following conclusion. Although visits from outer space are believed to be possible, they are believed to be improbable. In particular, objects like flying things reported in 1947 and 48 with Roswell, whatnot, Project Sign, etc., are improbable. The strange irony is that this skeptical letter appears to have been provided by the Foundation for the Exploitation of UFO True Believers. Lipp thought that extraterrestrial visitation was unlikely, but he offered a theory to be entertained that the events were real. Lipp suggested that there was a causative link between the military at the atomic bomb testing sites and the appearance of UFOs. That's interesting because UFOs often appear at military bases or where there's nuclear technology or whatever going on, right? Lipp says other hypotheses need to be considered in regard to aliens. It is that Martians have been kept a long-term routine on Earth, out of sight of our A-bomb shots, as evidence that we are warlike and on the threshold of space travel. Venus should be eliminated here because her cloudy atmosphere would make such surveillance impractical. The first flying objects were sighted in the spring of 1947. A total of 5 atomic explosions happened that year. After a total of 5 atomic bomb explosions had happened. Alamogordo, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Crossroads A and Crossroads B. Of these, the first 2 were likely to be seen. So in other words, he's saying that the aliens have seen that we've developed the nuke technology, and so now they've come to speak to us. And what is their message? Well, the fear of nuclear war was also concomitant with all of this alien propaganda and nonsense. And historian David Jacobs says that operating within a common fear of the 1950s, inevitability of atomic warfare, and the contactees were connected because this invested the space people with missions that promised society release from Cold War tensions. This leads to the famous first contactee, the character of George Adamski. George Adamski, as you guys know, here's the crazy part. George Adamski's stories about his contact with the aliens. Get this. Here's Adamski's tale. On board the ships, according to Adamski, he met beautiful Martian and Venusian babes. The elder philosopher of the space people, this guy named the Master. sounds like a Doctor Who episode, right? While the women served the refreshments, Adamski and the Master engaged in long, deep conversations about the state of the Earth and the universe, and his position. The master described that other planets and social political systems made it clear that Earth was very primitive and the space people were benevolent beings who wanted to come and give mankind technology to save them from atomic destruction. Hear that? Atomics. The space people had a mission: save man from himself. They told Adamski that they had been selected, George and his wife, I guess, had been selected as individuals to carry the message to the people. Again, what did Richard Doty say? Picking out dumb dupes who are patriotic and believe whatever the government tells them. Jesus had been one of the messengers who had come before. George Adamski was a new, chosen messenger. And guess who stepped forward to stop anybody, here's the key, from going after Adamski or prosecuting him in a court for lying? Guess who? Alan Dulles. Why does Alan Dulles care what this goober says? Oh, because they want the narrative out there. The CIA and the Black Ops people are pushing this stupid narrative and pushing the idea that the government doesn't want people to know what's really going on. It's a really basic level operation. It's not that difficult. Skeptics consider Adamski's tale to be the product of his own mental illness or some publicity stunt. In fact, many UFO true believers didn't like George Adamski, right? They thought it was dumb. The middle ground receives little or no attention, and the possibility is that what if Adamski was manipulated to push a UFO myth? The possibility is entertained by intellectuals no less than Leon Davidson, chemical engineer and scientist, part of the team that developed the nuclear bomb. Davidson, for example, asserted that Adamski's most famous contact experiences, like the Venusians and whatnot, was the product of the CIA. Davidson wrote, quote, an open letter to saucer researchers where he noted this. For Davidson, George Adamski was utilized as a kind of Manchurian candidate who had fallen for an orchestrated close encounter. From start to finish, Adamski's meeting, thus, was manufactured by the Central Intelligence Agency. Following Adamski's contact experience, Davidson contended the Polish American was encouraged by elements within the CIA to write and publish these documents, and claims Davidson's theory is not without support. In fact, in 1955, CIA Director Alan Dulles threatened to bring injunctions against anybody who would contest or go after George Adamski in court. That is wild. Isn't that crazy? And the more that you dive into the whole alien CIA connection, it's so obvious. Like, it makes perfect sense. One thing that's also relevant that they touch on is the connection between Operation Often, which is part of MKUltra, and its connection to ritual abuse and the parallels between ritual abuse and alien abductions. Oh, wow. Yes. Why would alien abduction phenomena be absolutely identical to the stories of people undergoing ritual abuse? Well, that's because the same MKUltra doctors engaged in mind control and abuse and ritual abuse are probably the same people behind this stupid thing. Or perhaps even people like Michael Aquino. Satanist, also reportedly involved or associated with various court cases you can look up about abuse. And who, according to his own claims, spent many years studying the UFO phenomenon. So wait a minute, Michael Aquino, who writes the military's psyop doctrine, from Mind War to Psywar, how to deceive people, how to use black magic. Yes, did you not know Michael Aquino did this? Did you know that you can go listen to his interviews where he talks about studying space. He was part of Spacecom, I think, for the military. And have you not read his doctrine of Mind War, Psywar? Written by Colonel Paul Valley, Commander, and Major Michael Aquino, PSYOP Research Analysis Team Leader, right? Mind War to Psy War. You better believe this is a real document. Absolutely, it's real. And it goes into EMF, ELF, and ionospheric warfare at the end of the document in the footnotes. I've read it many times. I'm not going to read this whole thing for you. I know many of you are lazy. You don't believe in reading. You don't know how to read, perhaps some of you. People don't read anymore, but people used to do this thing called reading, and they would go and look up things for themselves. Anyway, so if you want to get deep into the real debunking, right? Not this kind of lame debunking that people on Reddit do. No, real debunking by actual intelligent researchers. You definitely want to get Invoking the Beyond. It's one of the best on this topic. And remember, so you've got Michael Aquino, the Satanist military, whatever he ended up being, colonel or whatever, writing a giant PSYOP document on how to lie to people. And he's part of MKUltra, and he's studying the UFO phenomenon. You better believe he's involved in crafting this dumb narrative. Of course. Well, he's a Satanist. He would lie. He would tell me the truth. Really? How stupid are you? Go listen to the PBF podcast that we did where we spent 2 hours talking about Michael Aquino. By the way, thank you for those super chats. If you want to support the show via super chats, you can using Streamlabs. We were demonetized 5 years ago, so why ain't you got super chats enabled? We did, dude. There, right there. Streamlabs. Thank God for Streamlabs. Anyway, okay, we gotta move on because there's just this will never end. This nonsense just. It's infinite, right? Now, I've even read a lot of these dumb sort of like classic texts. And again, remember what this guy was saying in this interview? It's just the same recycled story. What's he talking about that this is new information of recovered craft? There's like 50, like, remember even the days of Google Video? You could find countless, I'm a retired general. And I was in the underground bases, and I seen the aliens laying there in the caskets. They got giant factories. There's endless of these, right? So-called military experts, colonels, generals, talking about the underground bases and the FEMA camps and blah, 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 all this nonsense. It's all gibberish. It's all lies. Now, it's not all lies in the sense that there are no craft, but they're not aliens, dude. If you've not watched Mirage Men, how many times have we talked about and told everybody to watch this documentary? The whole thing is in this documentary, all of it. How the whole thing is run. Now, why would anybody believe George Adamski and his ridiculous stories other than that Alan Dulles was the point man supporting his stories? Then we get another famous incident, which is our first UFO cult. And who are they? Betty and Barney Hill, these kooks. Have you seen Betty and Barney Hill? Okay, these are the first alien contactee cult people. And they give us the abduction story to the Zeta Reticuli, all this nonsense. Total psyops, obvious BS. By the way, all of these people's stories have actually been shown to be made up nonsense. But you understand it doesn't matter because they kicked off the phenomena, right? And then we get all of these other intelligence-connected cults, like the Raelians, who, they're going to do cloning. The aliens have given cloning technology. I mean, look at these kooks, dude. Who actually would believe this nonsense? You got to be a complete quack to believe this stuff. Here's a Yaka Ano over here calling out to the entities.
Good morning.
can't play the music because it's gonna trigger this. So here's the Raelian guy, right? The prophet of the space age. Look at this dude.
Same time of Jesus, or more.
Oh, of course, yeah. So what is it? What do they always say? Jesus is one of the avatars that brought the message, and I'm the one that brings the true message. It's always the same, right? It's a formula. It's a pattern. It's a recipe to create the alien cult. And do you not know that it's the same with Scientology? Space opera cults. Do you not know this? I mean, look at this kook, dude. Come on. But anyway, if you don't remember right, they claimed to be able to clone people. The aliens gave them cloning technology. And there's a Japanese one too. Is there a Japanese alien? There's a million alien cults, right? But they all have the same formula is what I'm trying to say. And that guy had, I think wasn't it French intelligence connections? He was like a millionaire race car driver with intelligence connections. And then he starts his alien cult. Now, again, hopefully you guys, you know the backgrounds of Scientology, Hubbard, Navy, right? Military, probably a military intelligence connection as the basis to the Navy nonsense behind Hubbard, right? Hubbard goes and studies under Crowley. Crowley's cult actually has a lot of parallels with aliens. In fact, everybody knows that Crowley, yes, Lamb, Crowley sees this demon, supposedly, and he contacts it, he claims, and this is way prior to today's alien phenomena. So Crowley claims he contacts this being named Lamb, and Lamb obviously is one of the first sort of alien. This is far prior to anybody drawing these, cone-headed alien people. But that then sets the stage for the OTO and the Crowley people to claim that their rituals put them in contact with the gods, who are also the aliens, the entities. The same. They argue it's the same stuff. Okay, and you will find the followers of Crowley will say this. In fact, there was some guy who was even arguing recently that they were contacting aliens, and that it's, anyway, again, you get the same narrative in Childhood Zen, right? So when he writes Childhood Zen, he's writing it from that Crowleyan perspective. And he even tells you that Karelin is a demon. Which is funny to me, right? Like, it is Tywin Lannister, right? Who plays Karelin as this giant hoofed entity, right? With your kids. Interesting that Karelin, and that's the way you picture him in the book too, right? If you've read the book. Now, this is from the Sci-Fi channel presentation of Childhood Zen, which is actually pretty good. If you've not seen Sci-Fi Channel's Childhood Zen, I highly recommend it because it really did the book justice. But when Karelin is revealed, I mean, he literally is the archetype of the devil, right? And that's because the people in these cults, they, especially the Crowleyan cults, like, they think they're in contact with these entities. Some of the other books that I read when I first learned about all this stuff, right? Like, I think, again, you were talking about the phases. When people go through these phases and they think, oh, I'm going to get into the aliens. We've been lied to about aliens, dude. I remember reading, I read This hunt for the Skinwalker. I read the Skinwalker Ranch book. Ooh. I read Christopher O'Brien's book. I read a bunch of these Adventures Unlimited Press books. The Mysterious Valley. The weird phenomena going on in this mysterious valley. And then I read The Stargate Conspiracy. Ooh. Oh, we're going to tap into the other dimensions and talk to the entities. And I read Enter the Valley by the same dude. And I read the Hynek Report. And oh my gosh, there's aliens, dude. And then I was like, wait a minute. A lot of these people are complete kooks. And their stories are ripped off of actual sci-fi stories that actually came before their stories. Like these stories of the Vril Society and the entities that visit us from some Aryan planet or whatever nonsense that's all about, right? And then you start to realize, hey, wait a minute, all of the alien cult leaders and the weird Corey Good people, these people are crazy, right? And there's a lot of grifters involved in these circles, right? And it's all a bunch of baloney. But it's not just baloney, because there are actual things going on. And one of the people involved in the government who came out and wrote about this being a deception, and yet was not a Christian, in fact, I believe he studied Rosicrucianism, is Jacques Vallée. And if you've watched Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the Francois Truffaut character is based on Jacques Vallée. But what's amazing is that Jacques Vallée, I think he worked for the military or the Pentagon as a computer scientist a long time ago. And then, let's see, worked for the DOD on computers, studied astrophysics, got a PhD in computer science in the 1960s, and very close friend of Dr. J. Allen Hynek of the Hynek Report. And then he's the basis for the character, as we said, in Close Encounters. But wait a minute. He says it's all a giant deception and that the entities are perhaps malevolent. So there's a lot of things going on here, but it's just amazing to me that the guy that's the basis of the character in Close Encounters actually says it's a malevolent deception and that the government is involved in the deception. Not of not telling you the truth, but of pushing the narrative. Duh. Danny says for $3, what do you believe about evolution? I believe evolution is a science fiction story that actually comes out of ancient Greek mythology and Greek philosophy. In fact, if you read Anaximander says what Darwin said a long time ago. Where was the footnote to Anaximander, by the way? Interesting. Andrew Tate, $5. How would you respond to the argument that incarnation is impossible because God would be put in a certain place, losing his omnipresence? Right, so it doesn't alter God's omnipresence because it's entering into a mode of being that is unique. So God, the second person of the Godhead, the Logos, is incarnate in a certain place without losing what's proper to the divine nature, his omnipresence, because both are true at once. And so, as is typically the case with Islamic thinking, for example, any situation where there is God doing some different thing or something different than what he was prior doing, for example, not creating and then creating, there's a challenge by which they then think that there has to be some solution to the notion of introducing change into God because of the dialectical thinking, right? And that's because they see God as an absolutely simple unity. So no, God can exist in different modes because he's God. So the fact that he exists in a special way in one place does not compromise his existence according to his omnipresence in every other place. And even in the Old Testament, we actually have revelations of this. When the manifestation of God's glory is present in a unique way in the temple in the Old Testament, in Exodus, when the cloud is with the Jews, etc., when Moses goes up on the mountain, etc. the angel of the Lord that appears in the theophanies. That doesn't compromise God's omnipresence. It's a unique manifestation of God's presence. And thus Hagar says, I have seen God when God appeared. That's why the Old Testament says many, many, many times, God appeared. How can God appear? God can appear if God's omnipresence would be compromised by his presence in a unique mode. So this is just a simple term in philosophy called mode of being. But we can get into that more I'm going to be doing, I think, a debate with a Muslim in the near future, and I'm sure that will come up. In fact, I just bought I have 7 books now on this question, on this issue of the mode of God's presence in the Old Testament, from Jewish texts, okay? Not Christian texts. Jewish texts admitting multiplicity in God in the Old Testament. From the texts. Joseph, $10. Hey, what's up? Hey. Andrew Tate again. Is that the actual Andrew Tate? Probably not. But we did have an interview with Tristan Tate a long time ago, so. Thoughts on Chris McCandless' story? Would you consider his philosophy to be New Age? Who is Chris McCandless? I don't know who that is. Let's see. Chris McCandless. Chris McCandless' sisters. Oh, is this the guy that went out and lived in the wilderness? Okay, I don't know what his philosophy was. Into the wild. Okay, yeah, I remember seeing this a long, long time ago. When Into the Wild came out, I remember that. But I don't know what his worldview is. Does anybody else in the chat know what Chris McCandless' worldview is? Majorian, $20. Do you have thoughts on Christopher Knowles' Lucifer technology? Christopher Knowles. Oh, the Secret Sun guy. I don't know what that theory is. I'm familiar with Secret Sun. I remember reading Secret Sun 10 years ago even. So I know it's still around. I still follow Secret Sun on Twitter. But I don't know what the theory about Lucifer Technologies is. That there is technology that's demonic in origin. There may be something to that, right? I think that if there is a presence of entities that is conveying knowledge, which some of these people do claim, but the problem is that these people are also liars, so who knows? You can't know if what they're claiming is true, right? And also the entities that they think that they can contact also can lie. So people don't even think about the fact that the things they're contacting might be lying to them. I mean, you just assume, oh, it's an entity. It's an entity. It must be telling the truth. It's an entity. Well, maybe it's an entity that lies, dude. Just because it's a little cute elf, dude, don't mean he ain't going to lie to you. Dang.
I did the sacred mushroom and I saw the cute little clockwork elves, and they would never lie to me.
Maybe they do lie. But see, that's the thing, right? Why is there such a fascinating parallel between the clockwork elves that Terence McKenna sees, the entities and beings that Huxley talks about seeing and interacting with, and how they parallel to the elves of ancient folklore? Why, the elves, they seem to, they got pointy ears and they got little big old gray noggins, and well, yeah, because they're the same demons, dude. It's not that hard. Well, how do we know they're demons? They made me feel good. You think a demon can't make you feel good? And then he's over there like, psst, by the way, worship me, create a world government, and kill everybody. Right? That's a demon, dude. Duh. Also, by the way, I'm looking forward to getting into Annie Jacobson's book, because she does a really good analysis based on, I've watched interviews with her about this book, and I've listened to Burma's covering this book. I just got this recently, by the way, so that's why I haven't read it yet. I'm really looking forward to it, though. But she covers a lot of the angles that you've heard me talk about and that the Collins brothers talk about, that, oh, there happens to be a connection to military bases. Oh, it just happens to be a connection to atomic test sites. Oh, maybe that's relevant to technology. So the aliens, again, as a cover. So the alien narrative, as we said, like it's a lot of things. It's not just one thing. And because people are sort of locked into simplistic sort of binary thinking, they think it's either entities from other planets or it's the government. Well, what if it's a whole bunch of different things? I mean, when I watch some of these videos, for example, let's take a look at some of the videos. It's like super allergy day, and then we have all the Canadians blowing their cloud of smoke, their doobie smoke cloud down upon us here in Tennessee. So everybody's coughing. So when I see all these clips, I don't really see anything that phenomenal. Right? I will admit, by the way, sometimes there are clips I see that I don't know what the heck that is. But that doesn't make me think aliens. So let's check this one out. Let's see what we got here. I mean, there's a million of these, right? And by the way, everybody and their mama can do Final Cut and stick a bunch of, I mean, you could write you got to AI make you a million stupid fake alien videos. So why does anybody even why does anybody believe any of this stuff just on the basis of the video existing, right? That looks super fake to me. A 50s flying saucer? Come on. All right, that's fake as all get out. This is more credible to me than that. There's the proof right there. Let's go. You don't believe in aliens? Look at this. There you go. There, did you see him? Boom! Look at that, dude. Proof. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Two UFO recordings by NASA released 8 years ago.
Ionosphere, then it zooms on the North Pole. I don't know if it's auto-tracking something, and then these come into sight.
Dude, who even knows what the heck this is?
Zooms in really close on one.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Live NASA feed, and then.
So, yeah, my first thought was, if that's real, it's satellites. And then the context below says these are satellites. This is the stupid thing they always show you when it comes to the ones that the military have released, right? The Pentagon videos. Seriously, dude? The Pentagon and the military are filming things in 144p from the damn Verizon flip phone from 1999? I hate that. This is the dumbest shit. Oh, there we go. This is more believable right there. Look at that. I believe that. That's real, dude. That's actually a drone, isn't it? Yeah, that actually is real. So you can buy alien drones, and people are freaking out like they don't know what's flying around, right? That's a drone with 6 fans on it, right? It's a fake alien drone that you can buy that actually is a drone. Okay. So let's see what Tucker. Now I disagree, right? I'm very thankful for Tucker to having me on, and it was a great skit that we did. But I disagree with his take on the alien stuff. Let's see what he says about it.
Yesterday, for example, a former Air Force officer who worked for years in military intelligence came forward as a whistleblower to reveal that the U.S. government has physical evidence of crashed non-human-made aircraft, as well as the bodies of the pilots who flew those aircraft. The Pentagon has spent decades studying these otherworldly remains in order to build more technologically advanced weapons systems. Okay, that's what the former intel officer revealed, and it was clear he was telling the truth. In other words,
why was it clear he was telling the truth? Just because he was talking? No. I disagree. I don't think it was clear he was telling the truth if they're talking about this person that Laura Ingraham is talking to, right? This guy.
How many? Quite a number.
Ryan, again, this is the kind of stuff people would just be waved off as a complete insane asylum person for even speculating about just, recently, a few years ago. But now it's like, oh yeah, there's a lot of these. What is the average American supposed to think about the government's credibility on this issue, given now what we're discovering, albeit, belatedly?
Well, I think the average person right now just needs to sit and wait a little bit and see this process play out. David has provided a number of documents and pieces of evidence, to my knowledge, that Congress can then validate. And then they'll be in a position then to communicate that information to the American people. I truly believe that transparency is the only way this conversation is going to.
UFOs are actually real, and apparently so is extraterrestrial life. Now we know. In a normal country, this news would qualify as a bombshell. The story of
we know because the Pentagon says so.
In our country, it doesn't. The whistleblower's account ran on a technology website called The Debrief, which you probably never.
Okay, so did we have Uncle Sam, Big Bro, telling us the truth in the last 3 years? No. Did we have anything truthful coming out about weapons of mass destruction? No. Was that true? No. So for the Big 9 event, did we get truth from the state on that? Did we get truth about the Federal Reserve? Did we get truth about stabbies? Did we get truth about JFK? Did we get truth about RFK? Did we get truth about the Nerd Stream pipeline? Did we get truth about it? No. Oh, but now the most ridiculous thing, fake and grays, and aliens are 100% fake and gray. No, it's true. There was a guy who went on Laura Ingraham and he told the truth because he said that the crash technology has been, come on.
Heard of. The Washington Post had that story, but decided not to run it. The New York Times, meanwhile, just pretended it never happened. On the front page of the New York Times website this morning, there were 5 stories about Ukraine, as well as 4 stories apiece about Donald Trump, trans people, and climate change, the usual lineup. There was nothing at all about how an alien species is flying hypersonic aircraft over our cities. Now,
there we go. Proof, dude. Look at that. They just blew up. We was kings, bro. Look at that. Live. That's live right now in Egypt. Look what they just did. Dang, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Some damn squid man right there. There we go. Fox News exclusive. Interesting because Fox, if you remember, it was Fox that did that. You guys don't remember this, but in the 90s, there was actually a Fox ran this special of a discovered alien body. I'm not joking. I remember it because it was a big deal in the 90s on Fox. And there's an X-File episode, get this, that actually makes fun of the Fox announcement of the alien body that had been found. This is so dumb, dude. I wonder if we could find that old Fox clip. Anybody from the 90s will remember this, right? Because it existed. Fox TV. Alien. What was it called? It was called the Alien. Does anybody remember that? Like what it was called? It was a big deal. Yeah, I watched it with my older brother. Yeah, everybody remembers this. And there's an X-File that makes fun of it. And it was this huge ordeal. The alien autopsy. That's it. I hope we can find the actual thing, dude. It's so cheeseball. And remember, this is what people are falling for when they're really pushing this crap in the 90s. Oh, man, come on. Somebody's got to dig up the Fox. There it is. No, that's from 2020. That's not it. Fox TV alien autopsy. It would be so awesome if I could find that actual thing. Did they just air this thing here? Whatever this is. Let's see if this is it. But I mean, this is what has been pumped out for decades. That just kind of like goes into your subconscious, and you just think that there's all these aliens, right? This doesn't look like an alien autopsy. This is like a bunch of boomers. A bunch of boomer goofballs that believe this alien nonsense. Okay, here's the alien autopsy. This is what Fox aired back in the day. Check this out.
Recognizing its shock value, Ray was looking for a buyer. Enter Bob Kiviat, a long-time Los Angeles producer of paranormal programming.
When I started communicating with Ray Santilli's offices in England, it was very obvious that Ray had waited and hoped that someone like me with network TV experience with UFOs and aliens would contact him. As far as I was concerned, if he was claiming he had secured footage of the Roswell event, autopsies of the creature, it sounded so too good to be true.
More than a little intrigued, Bob Kiviat boarded a plane to England to see if this footage was worth all the hype.
Ray Santilli took out a tape, he popped it into a machine, and my mouth dropped open.
His mouth dropped open at this. Oh, why you...
Looked like a little...
They're bleeping out his thing.
That was pregnant.
Why are they bleeping out his thing, dude? That is... Look, they're bleeping out his thing. So, do they think that that there would be some people who were offended by seeing his alien dong? Right? Could you imagine the conversation they had? Okay, we're gonna have to bleep out the alien ding-a-ling, right? because that might offend some people, and it also might get a little some other people hot and bothered, right? They might get a little uppity if they was to see that thing.
Looked like a little female alien that was pregnant, because right away my mind's going wild with ideas about what this might be. Look.
Oh, that's a female. Okay, so it's got human anatomy to a degree, because we got to bleep out the alien vajaja, right? But it's pregnant, but it ain't got no boobs to feed it. I mean, come on, dude. This is... Now, I mean, I know y'all don't believe this, right? But what I'm saying is that this was played on Fox, and they made a huge deal about this. Like, this was some kind of, like, revelatory thing, right? All right, let's see. Can we find any decent alien videos? The sky is glitching. Bro, the sky's glitching, bro. Bro.
I got that on camera. I got that on camera.
Feds just went that way. You know what? Feds. No like.
Oh, Yo, the sky is fucking blue. And then it turned off.
The sky was blue and then it turned off. Turn off that sky. Y'all got that sky turned up too loud. Turn off that sky. Look at that. That's real. Proof, dude. That's the dang Millennium Falcon up there.
With impunity, Tucker, within our airspace, and they can outmaneuver, outperform anything that we seem to have. Their mode of transportation seems magical to us. It's unbelievable, and now finally we're having a rational, sober discussion about this because we don't know what these are.
Yeah, so here's somebody with some sanity pointing out that here comes the old repackaged UFO alien threat narrative, and it's always these people who worked for, I worked for naval intelligence for 20 years, and I don't know what these things are, but they're here. Right? It's always the same nonsense. All right, now what's this one? Is this the... Oh, yeah, sure. It's opening a portal. Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah, that was not made on Photoshop. We just saw this one. Fake as all get out. Oh, yeah, so here's the guy that we're supposed to believe about reverse alien technology. This old boomer here. Bob Laser. We've been laughing about Bob Laser for a long time. Can we find any decent alien footage? Look at that one. There we go. Damn, dog. You see that? Now it's a Kanye video. That's a damn Balenciaga alien outfit right there. Can we at least find something cool? I will say that the only thing I think that I'll grant is part of the sort of unexplained phenomena is the orbs like that. Not orbs like when you take a picture, but whatever these little white spheres are like that. That one is those are genuinely weird, and I've watched those for 20 years. I mean, on the internet, right? And they do sort of behave kind of odd. Perhaps, right, there's some sort of drone or advanced technology. That, to me, is the most likely thing for whatever the little white balls are. Those are the only ones that I can think of after watching and looking at this stuff for 20 years that make any sense to me as actually being real, right? But that doesn't mean they're alien. What's this chick saying?
Did you see it? Did you see it? Did you see the alien? Sir, what does the alien look like?
Look at this chick.
Ask the real questions.
You are one of the most trusted former intelligence officials in the US defense and intelligence establishment.
Yes, I was.
You were trusted with the most...
Well, if he's trusted... If the guy with a British accent says he's trusted, he's got to be trusted. Because nobody with a British accent would bullshit. They wouldn't lie, dude. You think he's lying? You hear his British accent? He can't lie with a... You can't lie if you have a British accent. You were the most trusted person. And I'm going to say that you were trusted so that you trust me, audience out there, that this man is trustworthy. Trust me. Very trusty. We're talking about... maximum levels of trustiness here. You see?
Ultimate secret.
You were trusty.
Vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin, vehicles.
And you're trusty. You have high levels of trusty about you. I see it upon your face. The trust is oozing off of you.
Crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite enough.
A lot.
How do you know that for sure? Is there what?
So, what is the internet now? This chick just playing with her hair, and I watch this chick watching a video. This is just getting weird. She added nothing to that. We got outer space boomers now.
And if you're that powerful, if you don't like what's in your life, you can uncreate it and change your life.
Past life. Okay, thank you, Grandma, for the past lives wisdom there. Project Blue Book. Oh, I think that's a bunch of disinfo, jibber jabber. Does anybody have any good alien? What's this? The Ukraine flag with alien? What in the world? Okay, so here's one of these. That could be anything. I don't know what that is. Just too grainy. Here comes. It could be anything. Look at that. That's ridiculous. You can't even find good ones anymore. You used to could find a lot of really interesting UFO, UAP clips, and now it's just all this just garbage. Let's see what is. I'm not gonna watch all that. I thought maybe we could find a few good clips. We could watch these James LaFleur with Queepy. That's not gonna play. Queepy. Now here we go. Here's some classic. This the alien kind of stuff I'm used to. What is that? That is spotlights going like this, isn't it? Looks to me like ground-based strobe lights going in a pattern. So nothing exciting about that one. Do we have an orb finally? At least give me an orb. Come on. What have we here? I don't know. Can't make out anything from that. Why do people not assume that there are advanced drones? I just don't understand why we don't assume drone tech. Okay, what do we see over the Philippines? What do we got in this one? Where was it? I missed it. That's called a comet or a meteor, bro. Nothing exciting. That one. Bunch of blurry nonsense. Here we go. This one looks good.
I'm doing it now.
Oh, it's Tuesday, September 19th. They're coming in droves. What the heck is going on? Okay, interesting. Yeah, but also could be easily explained as drones, satellites. Don't know why we would in any way assume aliens. Luminous objects unidentified. That one looks fake as all get out. The Andromedans. Here we go. Boomers love this alien crap, dude. There's always some boomer that's got some gigantor tale about wars that were happening on Mars between alien races, and it's like
that can scan the entire brain. And I mean, all of the...
It's always some boomer, dude. Like, what is with boomers and aliens, bro? You could get a boomer from another country, and he's got, look, here we go.
Latent metaphysical powers, these reptilians.
And he's talking about reptilians. Boomers love aliens, bro. That's just, it's like second nature to a boomer to talk about aliens. Not all of them, but I'm saying that if a boomer's into conspiracies, it's aliens and JFK. And perhaps they go together. Perhaps the aliens killed JFK, right? That is an aircraft, obviously, dummies. Come on. Can we at least get one decent alien, quote unquote? Oh, come on. Alien craft. Oh my gosh. This is so dumb. Whoops. We don't need to see no butts. All right, let's see. What do we got in this one? I see nothing. Nothing cool there. Maybe. Okay, maybe we got the flying tennis ball, golf ball. That's the ones that I think are interesting. Look at another alien autopsy. Get that thing. That's Ripley's Believe It or Not, dude. That's a dang mummy from Ripley's Believe It or Not. That's the mummy from Wise Blood, dude. Okay, here we go. This hippie chick gonna tell us about aliens. She's seen them.
Sorry, human just appeared. Not even like a couple months ago.
What? Space Force. Stranger Things pipe vibe. What? If I play the music, it's gonna ding the copyright. So at night, this area gets super dark. Whoa, well. Ergo aliens, bro. That is called a planet. That's called Venus. So if you don't know, at night, at certain times during the year, you'll see Venus. That's not an alien. Ooh, look at that. That space being got some dang camel toe right there. What? Yes, not a bug on the camera. That's definitely an alien walking across the street. Sure, not a bug on the camera, right? Oh, dude, this is insufferable. Does anybody know? Like, is there a place where there's actually good UFO footage? I mean, it's just, look at this. I like this guy. A lot of them aliens are slow boys, dude. Oh, look, he moved. He moved. Look at that. He moved. That's a dang slow boy. So the aliens got some Down syndrome or something. Yeah. So why would you assume a cigar-shaped craft isn't some sort of drone or like a surveillance blimp, right? Here we go with this Pentagon people.
As well. But Jeremy, I want to talk about you saying that the Pentagon's UFO chief. This is a Pentagon guy, a UFO chief, the chairman of Harvard's astronomy department as well. Both releasing a report on Tuesday.
That stupid song is gonna. Okay, this is more. Here we go. Craft. It's always the same stuff. Unidentified craft. That's called a blimp, dummy. That's a freaking blimp. Let's see what is this about.
Tonight we have even more. Welcome to Elizabeth Vargas Reports, earning your trust every night. Reaction.
Are we alone? And if we were not, would you even tell us?
I would refer that question to the Department of Defense and let them answer that question for you.
Well, the Department of Defense says there is, quote, no verifiable information that the government is trying to reverse engineer extraterrestrial materials.
wilderness and the mountains until 24 and a half years old. During those times, I was shown by the ET.
Oh, I had did I have my sound off? Yes, I did. And I'm sorry about that. So I have to switch back and forth with the way this is set up because I'm not wearing no damn earphones. I ain't gonna wear no headphones when I talk to people on the internets. When I talk to the screens, I ain't gonna wear no earphones. So I have to like click off of my microphone every time I play a video for the sound to work right. So the super chat was about, Adam 1912. Can you speak to Caltech and Hollywood connections? Yes. There is a connection because John Adams found a paper on that because there was a deep connection between Hollywood and how they would portray things about aerospace technology, jets and all of that, and the deep state connections to the alien mythology in Hollywood. And it does relate directly to Caltech, JPL, Jack Parsons and all of that. Exactly. Porphyrios, I was abducted and they look like Funko Pops and they speak like Terrence McKenna. The Funkopocalypse is coming. Absolutely. And if you go to our event, you will see me in live time debate a Funko Pop. I'm talking about this right here. Live with Jamie Kennedy. Me, Jamie Henshaw, and Jamie Kennedy. Malabute. Yes, you heard me right. July 6th in California. Get your tickets right now over at Eventbrite. You got to get it. Buy it now. This is going to be so hype. 5 hours of entertainment. 5 hours of infotainment. Get your ticket right now. July 6th from 2 to 7. Headliner Jamie Kennedy right there. Go. Get your ticket right there. See that? It's going to be fun. P-H-U-N. Fun. Get your tickets. July 6th. Hollywood, baby. We're coming. Super chat from Harvest Corpse, $1. Dude is really rehashing the report from Ironside Mountain. It's the report from Iron Mountain, not Ironside. The CIA says, I hate you with every fiber of my being, along with Christianity. The Citizen says, we need more of your projects or the aliens will kill us. Exactly. FX, $1 with a smiley face or a 2 dots and a butt. I can't tell. Thank you so much. Decrypted, 1947. Sending numerological significant messages through their super chat amount. Says spooky. Vladimir, $10. You're totally right to make the connection between transhumanism and anti-Christianity, Prometheus, and all this UFO stuff. Jason Giorgiani founded Prometheanism, which worships Lucifer and is balls deep into the UFO stuff. Vehemently Gnostic and anti-Christian. Yeah, I think all that stuff is preposterous and goofy. I can't imagine anyone taking that seriously. But thank you for that super chat. And yeah, it all relates directly to getting people into technocracy. Illiterate Gang, $25. AJ said today about the Space Brothers that the ancients wrote about starmen and craft, like spinning wheels like Ezekiel. Yeah, so Ezekiel's spinning wheels is angels, but it's the Son of Man, Jesus, identified as the Son of Man, who's also the Son of God. If you read Revelation 1, when John sees Jesus, it's the same imagery of Ezekiel 1 and Ezekiel 10. And one like a Son of Man riding the angelic chariot is Jesus. It's not an alien. On that goofy $1, who is the Daddy channel? He has done a few of my videos as essay text, or maybe one video, one of my essays. And I thought the way he did it was really good. I like that channel. I think they reached out, but I don't remember who it is. So I don't actually know the person. But I do like that channel and the way they produce that content. Is there going to be a Tristan Tate follow-up? I think a year ago I'd messaged Tristan to see if he wanted to chat more about things, and he said maybe, and then I didn't hear back from him, and that was before the legal issues. So I don't know. Lamont Stigler, $3. Keep up the great work. Chalk Life. Yes, by the way, guys, the show sponsor is chalk.com. That's CHOQ.com. Head on over to chalk.com and make use of the promo code J50, that's JAY50, to get access to the best supplements out there. Action 2.0, great for upping your energy levels if you're low on energy. She Legit, amazing product for mental focus and clarity. Highly recommend the She Legit. If you want to read, you want to focus. If you're looking to boost testosterone, you can't beat the Tonkat Ali, which is 100% proven to boost testosterone. Go read the studies they have over at chalk.com. That's CHOQ.com. Use the promo code J50 to get 50% off any of these products, including the Irish Moss. Ladies, want to balance out those hormone issues? Try out that Irish Moss. If you're looking for mineral replacement due to deficiencies that we have, right? So we all need certain minerals that our diets are deficient in. Modern diets are pure garbage and crap. I recommend getting the 7 Wonders, which is basically pulling from 7 really awesome nutrient-dense mushrooms. These are not druggy mushrooms. These are health mushrooms, and they're good for you. So head on over to chalk.com. Use the promo code J50, that's JAY50, to get access to those excellent products. And I actually think that you're going to like Chalk so much that you're going to use the promo code J53LIFE, that's J53LIFE, because that's actually going to get you a little more of a discount, and it will be a recurring subscription. So if you want to go ahead and set up the recurring subscriptions, I know you're going to want to, because you're going to love chalk.com. Do it right now. Support my channel and support a excellent red pill based company, chalk.com. Ginger, $10, says, for a debate about the UFOs, reach out to the Dark Journalists. I met him one time when I spoke at the Secret Space Program conference to cover movies. I did not speak about aliens there. I spoke about movies. A lot of people there were like, why did you talk about aliens? Because I don't believe in them, dude. And I'm not here to talk about aliens. I'm here to talk about movies. That's what I was talking about. Dark Journalist seems friendly. He might agree. He might. I'll think about that. Ponder, $3. I appreciate your work. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you so much, Ponder. I will ponder that and figure out what you meant by that. Silly Guy, $5. We are silly people in arms. I share your spirit. Jay, I'm concerned if the Serbian Orthodox Church has a Star of David mosaic below the ceiling. Does that mean anything? No, it doesn't mean anything, because a lot of churches just use that symbology to symbolize the tribe of Judah or Jews or so forth in the Jewish lineage of Christ. Does it mean that the Serbian Orthodox Church is secretly worshiping some Gnostic thing or secretly some other Masonic? It doesn't mean that. Now, it could be sometimes churches have architects who might have had esoteric ideas, and they might have put that in there, but nobody really paid attention or something like that. So just because it's in a symbol on the wall doesn't mean everybody's secretly worshiping some demon or something. No, wouldn't worry about it. You can also get my books over at jaysanalysis.com. You can subscribe in the shop. It's always good to go back through the classics, go through all the alien jibber jabber. It's not hard to figure this out. Just go watch Mirage Men. I've actually done an entire analysis of the documentary Mirage Men. Evil Turnip, $5. I think the UFO phenomenon is real. I didn't say it wasn't real. There are real phenomenon, but there's no reason to think that those are aliens. You see, right? Father Seraphim Rose says as much. I know. I've done an entire lecture on the book. It has 40, 50,000 views. So I'm not being mean to you, but I'm well aware. Okay, I've read Father Seraphim Rose's book. I've done a lecture on the book. So some of the phenomena are real. And there can be demonic manifestations, sure. But it does not mean that all of this phenomena is primarily demonic. I just said many, many times, there's multiple things going on in this phenomena. On that no cap $1, will you do a debate with Timothy Gordon on the papacy? We've discussed that in the past, but actually our discussion was not about papacy. It was about absolute divine simplicity. And so we discussed the possibility of that as an in-person debate. I don't know if he is interested in doing that. I don't know that he's very interested in philosophy. So I don't know that Timothy, soon to be Dr. Gordon, is really into historical or papal debates. He might be. I don't know. I mean, I can ask him. But what I really want to, there's been so many papacy debates. I mean, Ubi has done countless papacy debates. His debates are all good on that, especially. I want to debate somebody on geopolitical entanglements and explanations for the papacy. I want to hear some Roman Catholics address, like Paul Williams's book or the Gladio stuff. I don't hear any Roman Catholics addressing this. That's what I want to hear. All right, thank you guys so much. Subscribe to Jay's Analysis, or shout out to Rockfin. I got my Rockfin shirt on. Head over to Rockfin and you can subscribe not just to me, but also to our excellent homies like Richard Grove over on Rockfin. Richard's channel is Grand Theft World. Great brother-sister podcast. Brother Moon, sister podcast. Grand Theft World. Head on over there and subscribe to Richard. Check it out. Get your tickets to our LA event. Be sure to do that. Don't wait. Go ahead and get it now. July 6th in California, in Hollywood. Or thereabouts, roughly speaking. Close enough to Hollywood. Might as well be. Bob Laser. I've done podcasts on all these people. I've done podcasts on the Seraphim Rose book. Okay, so you don't have to instruct me on what Father Seraphim Rose says about aliens. I know what he says. But I also know that we have a lot more examples of film since the 1980s, since he was covering this phenomenon, right? And the majority of this phenomena is not anything. So look, it doesn't even come up. Look at that. It's just so frustrating that, you do these podcasts, you do these talks, and they get 40,000 views, and then they disappear in the algorithm, right? Let me find it on the back end for you guys then, and I'm going to share it with you. I wanna do things. I just wanna meet no people. And I wanna do so many cool things. Haha. I wanna meet people. Jamie and I did Alien January. We have covered this so many times. And then you cover it, and then it, like, you can't find it in the algorithm anymore. It's just super annoying, dude. Okay, so Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future. Look at this. Covered it many moons ago. How many views have we got on this old thing? 30,000 views. 7 years ago. This is Jay Dyer from Jay's Analysis. Whoa! 7 years ago, bro.
Father Rose says this. You didn't know that he says...
Yes, I did know. Covered it right here. 7 years ago. 30,000 views. 7 years ago. Where's the chat? I'm trying to give you guys. If you want to watch this talk, covering Father Rose's book, right there. And I mean, there's like, I'm over here looking at like 20 different UFO podcast talks that we did. Michael Aquino, UFOs, and Son of Sam. Look at that. That's a members talk. Check that out. Here's some crazy stuff. This is what you get in the members section. Stuff like this. In this second half, we're going to be discussing the issue of Michael. And just for fun, we'll give some of y'all in the chat a little tidbit, a little dose of what you get as a member. You get stuff like that right there. So there is one members talk for you guys where because we talked about Aquino tonight, and I found it. There is Aquino talking about his own study of the aerial UFO phenomenon.
The only planet in all of that's developed, functioning life forms is almost ridiculous. A lot of the work that I did at Space Command was highly classified, above top secret, at the compartmented level. The compartments, that I worked in were TK and MJ.
Yeah, so there you go. Did he say Department MK? And what's he talking about? Aliens and the alien mythos and narrative. So literal Satanists have concocted this baloney for you to believe. Silly guy, $3. Thank you for this information. I was concerned because it is very prominently displayed. What was your question about the Star of David? People, they didn't put it in there because they thought of it as a Star of Rim fan. It's just a typical, it's a commonly understood symbol to represent Jesus and Mary's lineage, right? That's it. It's not, we secretly worship Rim fan. The Orthodox Church secretly worships Rim fan and Baphomet. All right. Thank you guys. A lot of fun. It's always fun to go back to the alien jibber jabber. If you would hit like and share, tell me where do we find good clips? I can't find any good UFO clips. And I was going to play some James LaFleur's videos, but his channel, it's for some reason the content is not on his channel today. So I don't know what happened. Maybe he got something else going on. I don't know. Wallace Zilroot, $6. Would The Lady in Red by Chris DeBerg be your choice when the aliens get near? The lady in red is dancing with me. Cheek to cheek. Yeah, but butt cheek to butt cheek. So that song talking about cheek to cheek is butt cheek to butt cheek.